Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks for checking in. I'm meteorologist Todd Nelson, and pretty warm out there today. Although we are going to have increasing clouds out ahead of a front that'll bring us some unsettled weather midweek and some cooler temperatures. So as we head through our Tuesday, again, the clouds will be thickening up. Can't rule out some spotty showers across the panhandle as we head into the late afternoon or early evening hours. But the rain really moving into Wednesday. Wednesday will be kind of a washout. Scattered showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder, especially through the first half of the day. And total precipitation through the end of the week, looking at maybe a ½ to 3/4 inch amounts, and the extended outlook into mid-May keeps us slightly above average in terms of precipitation and temperatures remaining cool. So time now for a Fly CRW forecast. It starts at home. Temperatures running cooler in Chicago as well, into the 50s. The same air mass we are dealing with, but across Florida, very warm and into the 90s. So the panhandle forecast keeping us fairly wet through that midweek time period. Maybe 2/3 of an inch of rain with temperatures today into the 70s. As we travel off to the east, it doesn't look like the rain will be as heavy, except in Davis, maybe around an inch. High temperatures on Tuesday. In Romney at 83 degrees, Wardensville at 83 degrees. And as we travel to the south, you can see the rain totals are going to be increasing as we get into those high elevations. Webster Springs at 77. The rain starts to move in late this afternoon across the far west, but we will be inundated with that rain through the first half of our Wednesday. Again, some spots to the south, maybe picking up close to 1.5 inches of total rain, but mild today, and we cool off starting tomorrow. Widely scattered showers and storms Wednesday, a little bit drier day there Thursday, but unsettled again as we slide into the weekend.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at Salango Law.
Got a lot to cover as usual here on MetroNews Talkline. Coming up this morning, we'll dig more into candidates running for the state Supreme Court, challenging for the United States House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. Lots to cover. It's MetroNews Talkline. We're underway.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded. We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
From the studios of WVRC Media and the Metro News Radio and Television Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful show in West Virginia. This is Metro News Talkline with Dave Wilson and TJ Meadows.
Check set lineup link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Q Dave and TJ. You're on. Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Good morning. Welcome inside the Encova Insurance Studios. Dave Wilson of Morgantown, TJ Meadows in Charleston. Thanks for listening in on one of our great radio affiliates across the state of West Virginia. Ethan Collins is the man to thank for that. He's handling the audio side of things. If you're watching on the Metro News television app, YouTube, or Facebook Live, you can thank Jake Link, is our video producer this morning. A little bit later, we'll get the thoughts of Greg Thomas. He is a Republican consultant. He is working with several of the campaigns in the Tacubo faction, if you will, for lack of a better description. He'll join us coming up next hour. Also talk to Justice Thomas Ewing, running for election to the United States Supreme Court. He'll join us coming up a little bit later on this hour. With all that, say good morning to TJ Meadows. He is holding down the fort in Charleston. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. It's a great day to be in pursuit of happiness, is it not?
Well, I suppose any day is a great day to be in pursuit of happiness.
Amen.
Any day is a great day. All right, we've got lots to get to this morning. Going to talk to a handful of candidates, talk a lot about the primary election. As you know, because you are a highly informed audience. U.S. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is being challenged in the Republican primary. There are a handful of candidates, including the top challenger, Berkeley County State Senator Tom Willis, who joins us on MetroNews Talkline this morning. Tom, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Dave, TJ. Pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely glad to have you. So your campaign has spent a lot of time portraying you as the more conservative candidate in this race for U.S. Senate. What makes you the more conservative candidate?
Well, it's not just me, Dave. I mean, some of the organizations that are looking at this race have endorsed me, and that vouches, I think, more than anything I can tell you personally. So the West Virginian Citizens Defense League has endorsed me. Gun Owners of America has endorsed me. The NRA has given me the highest score for Second Amendment in this race. And I think we talked about this before last time I was on the show, but Shelley has some really bad votes when it comes to West Virginia traditional family values. You know, she voted against traditional marriage. She's flip-flopped on abortion. She skipped the vote to keep girls out of boys' sports. And she voted for red flag gun confiscation and then doubled down and voted for more funding for it just a couple of weeks ago. So I think that's the case that I'm making as to why I'm the more conservative candidate. I've got a 100% conservative voting record for Make Liberty Win as a state senator from West Virginia. Some of the other rating agencies give me somewhere between 90 and 100 on conservative voting, which is a much better score than her F rating from CPAC, Heritage Action, Make Liberty Win. CPAC, Heritage Action, and Freedom Works. I'll give her an F rating for conservative voting. So that's why.
When has Shelley Moore Capito flip-flopped on abortion?
Well, early in her career, she was very wishy-washy on her stance on abortion. And she voted in 2018 to keep funding for Planned Parenthood. So to use your taxpayer dollars and mine to fund abortions. And so after the Dobbs decision, and I think in preparation for this race, frankly, she's come out as a pro-life candidate, but that's not been her position for the last 25, 30 years.
Despite having a 100% rating from the Susan B. Anthony Foundation and the National Right to Life Committee?
Well, her voting record speaks for itself. I mean, she voted to keep funding for Planned Parenthood, so I'm not sure how she could get 100%.
When did she vote for Planned Parenthood? She was an author on the Big Beautiful Bill that defunded Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, it was in 2018 when she voted for that.
All right, I'm talking about 2025.
Well, 2025 is in preparation for an election. I think anything a sitting senator does 12 months before the election date should be taken with a grain of salt.
I want to talk about red flag laws. You talk about her supporting of that. I'm looking at some of the votes, an article we had here on Metro News. She talks about the funding part of those components, and she points out that West Virginia would have to enact that, and the bill actually gives the priority to the state. She voted for it, saying West Virginia would never do it, but we want the money that comes with the mental health treatments and opioid abuse, tied to that. So is she really voting for red flag laws on guns, or is she getting money to help combat the issue here in West Virginia for mental health disease?
Well, I think one thing to know that your listeners need to know is that our campaign reached out to Shelley to debate and to discuss these issues one-on-one, one candidate versus another. We haven't heard anything back. There's been crickets. And it seems like in a lot of situations, she's sent surrogates to debate these issues and defend her. I would much rather she show up and defend herself in front of the West Virginia voters. But look, the job of a U.S. Senator isn't just to create policy at the state level, it's to create policy at the national level. And the gun rights groups, the CDL, NRA, they were talking to her about this vote. So she went in eyes wide open. She defied those gun groups. That's why they're endorsing me now.
So, again, defend your claim. She didn't actually vote for red flag laws. There is no national red flag law that was voted on here. This enables states to do what they want. Shouldn't states have the right to do what they feel is best for their state?
Yeah, once again, it would be nice if she would come forward and debate me instead of sending surrogates to debate me.
There's nobody sending surrogates. You need to defend your claim.
Well, you misquoted me. You misquoted me. You said I said she voted for funding for red flag gun confiscation. That's what I've always said, and she did.
I want to switch to the national debt. You talk about fiscal policy. We are $39 trillion in debt. I've seen your stances here on balanced budgets. I agree with you. But that only would prevent another deficit. It would do nothing about the debt that we already have. The big three, Medicare, Medicaid, defense. What do you want to cut? What do we want to cut here? Because something has to go if we're going to get rid of this $39 trillion in debt.
Well, I've worked in federal executive agencies. I've worked for the Federal Communications Commission, the Commerce Department, and extensively in the Defense Department. And I can tell you across the board with the federal agencies that there's fat to be trimmed. Not only the fraud and the DOGE that we need to continue and cut down on more fraud, waste, and abuse. We need to continue that, absolutely. But the federal government is just too big in general. So we need to reduce the size of the federal government. But the reality of the situation is we're going to have to grow economically out of our federal debt. And that's going to require pro-business, pro-growth policies, which West Virginia voters can count on me to fight for.
But do we have time to grow? Our debt exceeds our GDP. And again, I think we have to have cuts. Growing's fine. I agree. Grow the pie. But it's got to come from Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, or defense. Something has to cut from the big three. And I'd like to know what area you'd like to cut.
Well, I'm aligned with the Trump administration on we protect Social Security, we protect Medicare for our seniors, absolutely. But the reason, the genesis of the big, beautiful bill was designed to grow our economy over the long term out of our national debt. And at this point, with $39 trillion, that's the viable solution to the problem.
Talking to Berkeley County State Senator Tom Willis. He is Republican running for U.S. Senate against incumbent Senator Shelley Moore Capito. Much of your campaign, at least the campaign material that I've seen, has been aimed at fighting the woke ideology, standing up to radical culture agendas. Which of those do you believe is most impactful in West Virginia? What do we need to be watching out for?
Yeah, I think, gentlemen, we're really in a heart for the battle of our nation across the country. And one of the big ideologies that I think is a threat to our civilization is socialism. That's part of the woke package. It's a promise that government's going to solve all of your problems, that government replaces God. And that's something I'm going to fight against. I'm always going to fight for smaller government, for lower regulation, and for free market enterprise across all sectors to keep prices as low as possible for all West Virginians.
Tom, you have an ad on your Facebook. I think you may have ran it on other platforms. It's a real picture. It's the Senator Shelley Moore Capito during the congressional softball game, I believe, with Nancy Pelosi. I don't know what year that was taken. That event, I believe, funds and helps fund research for breast cancer. Why politicize that kind of a picture? Why use that as a negative in campaigning?
Well, I think that West Virginia voters are entitled to know that Shelley's ranked as one of the top 2 or 3 insider traders in the U.S. Senate. And obviously, Pelosi has a well-earned reputation for insider trading in the House. That's why a lot of people call her the Pelosi of the U.S. Senate. And so I'm highlighting her liberal voting record, and I'm highlighting her insider trading as far as that goes.
But isn't it good that she gets along with the opposition at a softball game? I mean, forgive me. Do you believe that's the high road?
Well, as far as getting along with the opposition, I've got a great record of doing that in the state Senate. I think you do have to reach across the line and work for bipartisan solutions to problems. But that ad is designed to point out the fact that she's tied very closely with the F conservative voter rating, which is the same conservative voter record that Pelosi has, as well as her not great insider trader record.
What evidence do you have to support that claim that she is engaged in insider trading?
So I have not said that she's engaged in insider trading.
But that's the implication, Tom. You're implying it.
I said she's ranked as one of the top 2 or 3. So look at just do a quick Google search and say, top ranked insider traders in the U.S. Senate, and you'll see a couple of agencies that have ranked her towards the top.
Tom Willis is joining us on MetroNews Talkline, running for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate. President Trump has endorsed Shelley Moore Capito, not you. Why?
Well, first of all, I wasn't in the race yet when he endorsed Shelley.
Well, he could change his mind. He changes his mind all the time, and he's not done that.
And the other thing that I think circumstantially we need to talk about there was this was during the time when there was negotiation for the big, beautiful bill. And it was very disappointing to me. I saw some of the senators from other states actually achieve some concrete results for their states. So I'm talking about Alaska and Hawaii in particular. And really, that didn't happen for West Virginia. What it seemed like we got circumstantially was an endorsement for Shelley and her son appointed as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District. So that was very disappointing to me. It seemed like that was all happening during the big, beautiful bill when Trump was negotiating for yes votes in the Senate on his bill. And I think West Virginia got left hanging the bag, which is the difference between me and Shelley. I'm in it to serve the West Virginia voters, the West Virginia people, and this isn't about serving me or my own family.
But Moore would have been confirmed without her vote, and she was going to vote for the big, beautiful bill anyway. I mean, is that a fair attack to bring her son into it?
Well, if Moore was going to be confirmed without her vote, then why did she vote? I mean,
because she helped author the bill, Tom.
At least you can avoid the appearance of impropriety.
So she should have voted no to avoid the appearance of impropriety? I'm not sure what you're trying to get at here.
Well, why couldn't she have abstained? You just said the votes were there to pass it anyway, so why not just abstain and avoid the appearance of impropriety?
Because she helped author the bill. She was going to vote yes all along. I mean, I'm not sure what you want from somebody at that point, Tom.
Well, I think voting to confirm your own son as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of West Virginia gives the appearance of impropriety and an ethical conflict of interest. So
she should have abstained from that entire the entire vote block there for those 100 nominees that were confirmed?
Well, if her son was a part of it, then yes.
I want to go back to the insider trading. I was doing some quick Googling while we're on the air here. Her net worth is $2.149 million reported. Now, that's 2018. I don't think it's went up that much. I mean, if she's one of the top insider traders, she's doing a really poor job of it if she only has a net worth of $2.1 million. No?
Yeah, the latest net worth I saw on her was $5 million. I mean, that net worth you just cited is 8 years old now. So that's obviously not a credible statistic in a debate like we're having now for current day usage. But she's traded over. The statistic that I saw was that she has traded over 200 individual stocks, some related to committees on which she sits, since around the 2018 timeframe.
Tom, give you 30 seconds. Why should Republicans support you on May 12th?
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show, gentlemen. So I think traveling across the state, I hear the same thing from West Virginians all over. It's time for a change. They're tired of career politicians, and we need term limits. I think West Virginians don't need a lecture. They just want someone who shows up, tells the truth, is sincere, and then doesn't forget them after the election. I'm Tom Willis. I don't have a famous political last name, but I do have a record of showing up in person and doing the work for West Virginia. I'm asking for your vote on May 12th, and please go ahead and volunteer, donate, support at tomwillis.com.
Tom Willis running for Republican nomination, U.S. Senate. Tom, appreciate the time today. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Back in a moment. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
When it's your family, your kids, your home, your parenting time, you want somebody on the Court of Appeals who lives and breathes family law. Even if you don't win your case, you still should feel that you've been heard. I'm Jim Douglas. I'm a family court judge, and I'm asking you to put real family court experience on the Court of Appeals for your future.
Paid for by the Committee for Family Law Experience for ICA. Susan Shepard, Chair.
Are you ready to reach the finish line of retirement? At the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group, we provide comprehensive guidance for retirement planning in West Virginia. With years of experience, we'll draft a plan tailored for your unique goals. Whether you're just starting or nearing retirement, we make the process as simple as possible, easy, and stress-free. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike to set up a complimentary consultation and get started on your plan today. Let's work toward your dream retirement together.
Tens of thousands of hardworking West Virginians earn their living in our state's growing natural gas industry, including thousands for Antero Resources, West Virginia's top natural gas producer. Antero's investments are boosting our local workforce and small businesses. We're proud to give back and invest locally to support West Virginia workers producing West Virginia energy. But the Mountain State's best days are ahead, and Antero Resources is just getting started. Visit AnteroResources.com to learn more.
In West Virginia, community is everything. It's about showing up for each other. Vin Salengo and the team at Salengo Law don't just work here, they live here, proudly sponsoring local events and giving back to the neighborhoods they love. So when you're facing a serious injury, trust the local team that's always in your corner. They spent over 25 years fighting for West Virginia families. Solango Law. Get results, not excuses. Visit us at solangolaw.com.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
5, 3.
For your daily fix of sports in West Virginia, there's only one stop.
I would imagine a group of you got together and watched the Mountaineers last night. What were your thoughts on that performance?
It was funny, we were sitting with a guy last night, and he said, all right, I'm going to go put $1,000 on it. Well, down the stretch of that ball game, he's looking at us like, are you kidding me? And sure enough, the Mountaineers came back. I saw him today. He said, yep, I'm putting another $1,000 on them tomorrow.
Sportsline on Metro News Television.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Text line is 304-TALK 304. Phone number is 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. Brad McElhenney, by the way, is covering a court case this morning. The residency of Mark Harmon, a Republican candidate in the district currently being represented by State Senator Jay Taylor. His residency is being challenged. That is being heard in Judge Lindsay's courtroom this morning. Brad McElhenney is covering that for us. And as soon as that hearing wraps up, he'll have an update for us on Metro News Talkline. Also remind you, speaking of the election, it is a week from today. It's either going to go by really fast or take forever the next 7 days. But we will have wall-to-wall coverage for you on Election Day and across the Metro News Radio Network, continuous coverage election night, results, reactions, thoughts, analysis, all the above. Gang will all be here on Election Night, 7 to midnight across the Metro News Radio Network. And if you'd like to see us totally devolve as the night goes on, you can watch on the Metro News TV app and, of course, all of our other usual platforms as well. Are you ready?
Way to be positive there, dude.
Well, I'm just saying,
yeah.
You know, you start the night and you're all buttoned up and you're good, you know, the tie's straight and you're ready to rock and roll. And by
Nobody said
midnight,
anything.
the tie might not be straight. That's all I'm saying.
Nobody said anything about a time. All right, we'll have to talk about that. Hey, I do want to correct something. I need a correction here. I'm not fast enough to go to my source, which is usually Quiver Quantitative on net worth for Congress. He was right. Shelley's $4.86 million, latest estimate, 2024. Nancy Pelosi, however, since we were comparing to her, $283.14 million.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, I've spent my life around numbers. If Capito is in any way insider trading and she's only worth $4.86 million, she ain't very good at it.
Let's. I agree with you. You got to be better at cheating if you're going to be better. Let me see. Let's get some text in here before bottom of the hour. Justice Thomas Ewing going to join us. Dave and TJ, what a professional interview. You two are class. You allow all sides, but you challenge at the right times without acting like shock jock interviewers. I really think that contributes to an informed listener without an influenced listener. Well, thank you. Texter says, finally, the old Dave Wilson is back. Thanks for holding people's feet to the fire. I don't know what the old Dave Wilson is. I'd like to think I'm still the young Dave Wilson, TJ, but more and more I'm told that's not the case.
Keep telling yourself that.
Hostility, says the texter. 304 Talk 304. The more he talks, the better it sounds for Shelley. Can't. We'll add that one to the book. TJ, this texter advises, I did a quick Google search, never works, says the texter.
Well, I mean, I'm human. I think the point holds, though. Does the point not hold?
Yeah, the point holds. This texter says, Davey just destroyed you. Don't look like a fool. Thank you for holding these candidates' feet to the fire on claims they make, no matter whether it's Tom Willis or anyone else. 304 Talk 304. That's the text line. We'll get to more of your text coming up. Justice Thomas Ewing will join us next, running for the State Supreme Court of Appeals. We'll talk to him a little bit later. Greg Thomas will join us as well. He's a Republican consultant. We'll get his take on what's happening here in primary season. Your takes as well at 304 Talk 304 and 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. It's 10:30. Let's get a news update from the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Solango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks for checking in. I'm meteorologist Todd Nelson, and pretty warm out there today. Although we are going to have increasing clouds out ahead of a front that'll bring us some unsettled weather midweek and some cooler temperatures. So as we head through our Tuesday, again, the clouds will be thickening up. Can't rule out some spotty showers across the panhandle as we head into the late afternoon or early evening hours, but the rain really moving into Wednesday. Wednesday will be kind of a washout, scattered showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder, especially through the first half of the day. And total precipitation through the end of the week, looking at maybe a half-inch to three-quarter-inch amounts, and the extended outlook into mid-May keeps us slightly above average in terms of precipitation and temperatures remaining cool. So time now for a Fly CRW forecast. It starts at home. Temperatures running cooler in Chicago as well, into the 50s. The same air mass we are dealing with, but across Florida, very warm and into the 90s. So the Panhandle forecast keeping us fairly wet through that midweek time period. Maybe 2/3 of an inch of rain with temperatures today into the 70s. As we travel off to the east, it doesn't look like the rain will be as heavy, except in Davis, maybe around an inch. High temperatures on Tuesday in Romney at 83 degrees, Wardensville at 83 degrees. And as we travel to the south, you can see the rain totals are going to be increasing as we get into those high elevations. Webster Springs at 77. The rain starts to move in late this afternoon across the far west, but we will be inundated with that rain through the first half of our Wednesday. Again, some spots to the south, maybe picking up close to 1.5 inches of total rain, but mild today, and we cool off starting tomorrow. Widely scattered showers and storms Wednesday, a little bit drier day there Thursday, but unsettled again as we slide into the weekend.
This is Ben Solango with Solango Law. Solango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Solango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Solango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at Solango Law.
When you hired me, you were 29. You seemed like you were 50 when you were 29. You were running that thing like a 50-year-old man. All right, we got to go get some tape. Come on, get out of there.
I think I've sort of always been 50, and I think I'm 50 now.
No, me too.
That's
me too.
a great point.
Join Tony Caridi, Brad Howe, and Hoppy Kercheval for 3 Guys Before the Game. Metro News Television. Available on mobile, Roku, Fire TV, smart TVs, and online at wvmetronewstv.com.
More of your text coming up at 304 Talk 304. Phone numbers 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. Brad McElhenney will hopefully join us before the noontime hour, get us updated on what's happening there in court. You heard Jeff Jenkins during the update. Senate candidate Mark Harmon's residency being challenged in a court hearing this morning in Kanawha County. Brad's keeping an eye on that. And did you hear what Jeff threw in right there at the end, TJ? Just right there at the end. Marshall WVU baseball tonight. Mountaineers going for the sweep. That hurts me. Hopefully, we avoid that tonight. And by we, I mean Marshall.
You coming down? Go to the game?
No, I got way too many things to do to come down. I would love to be there. It looks like it's going to be a pretty nice night for baseball. Would love to be there. But there are things to be done, TJ. There are things that have to be done when you're an adult.
I get it. The honey-do list is long around the Meadows household. Let's not even lie about it.
And you know what? It's rained just enough. I think I can avoid mowing the grass during the week. I think I can avoid it. Might lose the dog in the yard by the end of the week, but I can avoid mowing it. Joining us on MetroNews Talkline is Justice Thomas Ewing. He's a Fayette County judge turned Supreme Court justice. He was appointed to the High Court in August 2025. He's a native of Fayette County, graduate of Midland Trail, and he may have the best jump shot on the court. Justice Thomas Ewing joins us this morning. Justice, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. You were appointed to the court, so why did you decide you wanted to continue serving on the High Court and run for election this year?
Well, after I was appointed or accepted appointed, I lost the ability to return as a circuit judge. So really, it was either go back, run or go back to being a lawyer or something else. So, I mean, obviously, I enjoyed my time on the court so far. I think I've proven I could do a good job, and that was a good choice by the JVAC and the governor. And so I ran because I want to continue to be able to serve West Virginia in this capacity, and it's something I feel passionate about. And like I say, I just want to continue to serve.
How do you keep politics out of the judiciary, Your Honor? It would seem we're all human. It's a question we've been asking all the candidates. It would seem hard to do. How do you do it?
Well, for me, the most important thing is the oath that I have taken. I mean, I've taken it as a circuit judge multiple times and now as a Supreme Court justice. And, the oath requires that we as judicial officers hold ourselves accountable to ideals way beyond, above politics, above personal agendas or personal opinions even. And then, the oath requires us and our duties require us to uphold the independence and integrity of the judiciary. So for me, like, my personal integrity matters. And I don't see, if you don't have personal integrity, if you don't hold yourself personally accountable, then I don't see how you as a judge can uphold the integrity of the judiciary. So those things for me is just to stay focused on, what I've pledged to do, what I'm required to do, and ultimately what I'll answer to the people for. And someday, I took the oath, and the last words of the oath are "So help me God." So I'm going to answer to God for how I handled my time as a judge and a justice. So that's how I do it, is focus on the ideals that I'm ultimately accountable to.
Talking to Justice Thomas Ewing, candidate for State Supreme Court in Division 2. Anytime you have to rule, there is the matter of what does the law say, but your background, your perspective, your philosophies will come into play at some level. So what about your background do you believe has prepared you to serve as a justice on the State Supreme Court?
Well, I mean, as a circuit judge, I've made the decisions that I'm reviewing as appellate justice every day. You can look at the things that I did as a circuit judge. You can see how I handled those, how I approached those issues, and it's no different than how I approach them as an appellate judge. For me, consistency, predictability, those are things that matter in the legal system. And, again, ultimately holding myself accountable to the oath that I took, and those higher principles, are paramount. So, I think that, as a judge for 7 years in Fayette County, I mean, what I've done is it's public record. The way I've handled that, and the way I've handled my short time on the court is open to the public. So I'm not running from that. In fact, like it's sort of my resume or my statement to the voters. If you want, I've demonstrated to you how I'll do this job. If that's not good enough, then to be honest with you, I'm fine with that, because I am who I am. I try to be authentic. I'm not trying to be someone who looked at polling and try to figure out what polls to, like, I am who I am. And if that's not good enough for the voters, then I'll take that and move on with the next, go through the next door that's opened. But I feel pretty passionate about that. I've demonstrated over the years that I care deeply about the people of this state and the people who are appearing from me. I care deeply about getting to the right answer, and that I'll do the work to get to the right answer. And so I think that's something that if you look at how I've approached things before, that's how I'm going to approach things going forward. It's no different. I am who I am.
Mr. Justice, question I've asked of all candidates it regards interpretation of the Constitution, whether you're an originalist or whether you believe in a living Constitution. Could you give us your bent and where you fall?
Yeah, for me, I'm more of an originalist. The meaning, the words of the Constitution, the words of statutes, whatever it is, that words have meaning, and the plain meaning of the words of the Constitution is where I hang my hat. I don't view the Constitution as some kind of living, breathing document that should be morphed into whatever's necessary to deal with, the norms, changing norms of society. I'm definitely of the more of an originalist, textualist approach.
Talking to Justice Thomas Ewing, candidate for State Supreme Court in Division 2. Lawyers love to play in the gray areas of law. It would be nice if all laws were black and white, it's this or that, but we all know lawyers like to play in those gray areas. Lawmakers like to play in those gray areas. So where there is room for interpretation, can you give us some insight into your process, how you evaluate a case, how you evaluate an argument, and ultimately reach a decision when you're trying to rule on some of these cases that may be in those gray areas that are not so clearly defined?
Well, I mean, I think, again, going back to what I just said a second ago, I mean, the starting point for everything is going to be the language of the Constitution or the language of the statute. And, that's the, the main focus, and give those words their plain meaning. And then, if there's some ambiguity, then that's the only time that the court should be looking at what I would say interpretation or construction. Because if there's not an ambiguity and there's no conflict between two provisions or whatever, then the court has no business going into the construction. So if you get into construction, then obviously you're concerned about legislative intent. It's a little bit more difficult in West Virginia because you don't have the same type of legislative resources that you have like at the federal level to look at legislative intent. But I think my analysis starts with, and will be heavily controlled by, the language of the text and the meaning. And if there's no definitions established by the legislature, then we apply the plain meaning of that, of that term. So I think that there are times when these laws either conflict with each other or they're ambiguous. And to be honest with you, there's a myriad of statutory construction rules that the court follows to get in a organized approach to get that answer. So you just apply those rules of statutory construction.
Speaking of the legislature, there was a bit of a fuss, a couple of floor speeches. There was committee talk last session about the need to move back, that bent by some, move back to partisan election of judges. Paraphrasing one floor speech, we need to know who we're getting, a Republican or a Democrat. Where do you stand on that issue in terms of partisan versus nonpartisan election of justices?
Well, I mean, I've ran, this will be the third time I've ran in a nonpartisan judicial election. I personally believe that, going back to a question earlier, that, whether someone is Democrat or Republican has nothing to do with the decision that you have to make. I never ask anybody that came into circuit court for a hearing or oral arguments what party they're for or against, or what issue, what their stances are on these important issues. So for me personally, as someone in the judiciary, I think it's important to continue to have nonpartisan election. I mean, obviously that's my personal opinion. I don't speak on behalf of the other members of the court, but on the other hand, I believe, as you can see from this election cycle, it is difficult to keep politics or party out of these judicial races, no matter what you do. So I think there's some discussion in the Minnesota versus White case that basically the Supreme Court of the United States said if the states are going to choose to elect their judges and justices, then they're going to bring with that the negatives that come with election. So unless we completely change to some other type of system where appointed, or I mean, even in an appointed situation, you're going to have politics, but it's the politics come with the nature of an election, and I don't know how we can get around that.
Justice Thomas Ewing joining us, candidate for State Supreme Court Division 2. About 30 seconds here, Justice. Why should voters support you on Election Day or during early voting?
All right. Well, I asked the voters to vote for me early voting or Election Day because I've demonstrated that I'm the right person for the job, demonstrated that I want to serve, that I have served with distinction as a judge and now a justice, and that I bring the experience of a circuit judge to that room where the decisions are being made, and I'm the only one with circuit court experience on the bench. So I think it's important to continue to have someone with circuit court experience on the Supreme Court.
Justice Thomas Ewing, candidate for State Supreme Court Division 2. Of course, as you know, Election Day is a week from today. Early voting continues through Saturday. Justice Ewing, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Coming up, we'll get to your text, 304-TALK-304. That is the text line. You can always give us a call, 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. That is the phone number. More Talk Line coming up from the GOP Insurance Studios. Back in a moment.
Hi, this is Thornton Cooper. I'm a native and resident of West Virginia, a proud Democrat, and a candidate for the United States Senate. My priorities are 1, to raise the basic federal minimum wage to $15 per hour, 2, to expand health care to Medicare for all, and 3, to end Trump's war on Iran. To learn more about me, visit thorntoncooper.com, and please vote for Cooper for Senate. Thank you. Paid for by Cooper for Senate.
Tens of thousands of hardworking West Virginians earn their living in our state's growing natural gas industry, including thousands for Antero Resources, West Virginia's top natural gas producer. Antero's investments are boosting our local workforce and small businesses. We're proud to give back and invest locally to support West Virginia workers producing West Virginia energy. But the Mountain State's best days are ahead, and Antero Resources is just getting started. Visit AnteroResources.com to learn more.
Every day across West Virginia, healing happens here, where skilled hands and caring hearts save lives. West Virginia hospitals are more than places of care. They are lifelines for our communities. Employing nearly 54,000 people, hospitals power local economies and help communities not just survive, but thrive. During National Hospital Week, we recognize those who care for us all, because healing happens here, and its impact reaches everywhere. A message from the West Virginia Hospital Association.
Getting ghosted is never fun, especially by your network. Cyber threats don't announce themselves. They slip in quietly, disrupt operations, and disappear before you know what happened. CityNet's cybersecurity services provide proactive monitoring, threat detection, and expert response, so your business stays connected and protected. Commit to a relationship built on trust and reliability. Learn more at citynet.net today. And remember, CityNet connects, protects, and perfects.
The rule of law protects our communities. Integrity protects our values. Conservative Justice Gerald Titus spent his career fighting for both. As a prosecutor, Titus took on criminals and traffickers. Now, as a justice, he applies the law as written, fairly and independently. Endorsed by law enforcement, he stands with those who protect and serve. Because when courts uphold the law, criminals are held accountable and communities are safer. For Justice Titus, it's personal.
I'm Justice Gerald Titus. I spent my career upholding the rule of law. I was born here, raised here, and now my wife and I are raising our family in West Virginia. We need judges who are fair and apply the law as written and protect the rights of all our citizens.
Vote to keep conservative Justice Gerald Titus on the West Virginia Supreme Court. Vote early or on May 12th. Paid for by Titus for Supreme Court.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Nasal obstruction, stuffiness, blockage. Is it allergy? Is it sinus? A lot of times it may be both. The Delview Medicine Sinus and Allergy Center is a clinic where we house all specialties that take care of allergies and sinuses together. You name it, we have it. It's one-stop shopping. Anything ENT that needs done for the citizens of West Virginia, we can provide that care.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Download Metro News Television on your iPhone or Android. Search Metro News Television in your app store. Create an account today to get alerts and watch all live and archived content. Download now.
Touchdown! We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
The region's largest restoration firm, responding from 5 locations. When disaster strikes your home or business, call Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
A couple of million could go a long way. The Lotto America jackpots start at $2 million and grow until someone takes it home. Drawings happen every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and with 9 ways to win, even the smaller prizes can feel like a big win. Just $1 to play in store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Current jackpot is $24.71 million. Get your chance at manageable millions. Over at WVMetroNews.com this morning, a story from D.C. 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard being recognized for their courage under fire in an incident which claimed the life of one comrade, left a second severely wounded. Major Ryan Reynolds of the West Virginia Army National Guard and Major Edwin Stanfield of the West Virginia Air National Guard received the Soldier's Medal and Airman's Medal, respectively, during a ceremony yesterday at the Pentagon. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says these 2 men took action in the face of evil.
They neutralized the threat. They moved civilians to safety. So you see, these heroes are part of humanity's oldest story. Good versus evil. Courage versus cowardice. Fight versus flight. They chose good that day.
Secretary Hegseth went on to say that these two are the true meaning of what a soldier and airman should be.
Major Reynolds and Stanfield, you are the essence of what General Patton called, quote, the real hero, the warrior who never lets his fear of death overpower his honor, his sense of duty to his country, and his innate manhood.
Stanfield and Reynolds were there when Army Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and Air Guard Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf were shot by a gunman while on patrol in D.C. before Thanksgiving. Of course, Sarah Beckstrom died from her injuries. Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf was able to survive and continues to make a remarkable recovery. You can read more from yesterday's ceremony over at the website, www.metronews.com. So just wanted to recognize those two. Quite the commendation yesterday from the Defense Secretary.
Truly appreciate their service, appreciate all of our men and women who serve and play such a vital role in our freedom. And I think we do take for granted. We haven't had our freedom challenged, and we take for granted that it will always be there. Well, it has to be earned. It has to be protected. It has to be preserved. And these are the men and women that do that. And so we appreciate their service, each and every one.
Let me get in a couple of texts here. 304 Talk 304. Good interview with Justice Ewing. I like him. But as he stumbled through, should those elections be partisan or nonpartisan, I looked up what any candidate's politics are. I want to know what Board of Education races should be partisan. I don't want wackos on the Supreme Court or my local Board of Education, says the texter. Other than being ill-prepared for the interview, lying, and having a voice inflection of a pencil, I think Willis did well.
Ouch.
Texter says, you cannot be an originalist and rule in favor of Hope Scholarship. Tonight's game in CRW, that's Charleston. Is that Charleston?
That's the airport.
Oh, okay. Yeah, CRW. Will probably be rained out. I don't know. What's the weather forecast down there, Meadows?
I haven't looked. I'll take a look. But, I mean, they got turf, and that field drains like a champ. I think they'll be okay. I think you would try to get the last game in, would you not?
See, this is the catch-22. It's a non-conference game. It's middle of the week. Both teams vying for – Marshall's trying to get into the conference tournament. WVU vying for position. I don't know. Yes, I want to play it.
I mean, unless I'm missing something here, which is always very possible. It just looks cloudy to me. I'm not – I'll go upstairs and check with Hughes. He'll know.
I'll tell you what. If you're watching on the Metro News TV app or Facebook Live, YouTube, we'll have the weather forecast coming up for you in about 8 minutes from now, as a matter of fact. All right, final break of the hour. Come back. We'll tell you what's happening in hour number 2. Squeeze in another text or two. It's Dave and TJ. It's Talkline from the GOP Insurance Studios.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Everywhere you look, people are supporting Shelley Moore Capito for Senate. President Trump has endorsed her. So has West Virginians for Life. The National Shooting Sports Foundation named her Legislator of the Year. And she's backed by workers, small business owners, and Republicans across the Mountain State. Now it's your turn. Vote early through May 9th or on Election Day, May 12th.
I'm Shelley Moore Capito, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Capito for West Virginia.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
Nasal obstruction, stuffiness, blockage. Is it allergy? Is it sinus? A lot of times it may be both. The Delview Medicine Sinus and Allergy Center is a clinic where we house all specialties that take care of allergies and sinuses together. You name it, we have it. It's one-stop shopping. Anything ENT that needs done for the citizens of West Virginia, we can provide that care.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
That'll do it for hour number one. Coming up, hour number two, Republican consultant Greg Thomas will offer his thoughts on primary election season. And a little bit later on, we'll be talking with one of the candidates running for the House of Representatives, Larry Jackson, in District 1. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks for checking in. I'm meteorologist Todd Nelson, and pretty warm out there today. Although we are going to have increasing clouds out ahead of a front that'll bring us some unsettled weather midweek and some cooler temperatures. So as we head through our Tuesday, again, the clouds will be thickening up. Can't rule out some spotty showers across the panhandle as we head into the late afternoon or early evening hours, but the rain really moving into Wednesday. Wednesday will be kind of a washout, scattered showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder, especially through the first half of the day. And total precipitation through the end of the week, looking at maybe a half-inch to three-quarter-inch amounts, and the extended outlook into mid-May keeps us slightly above average in terms of precipitation and temperatures remaining cool. So time now for a Fly CRW forecast. It starts at home. Temperatures running cooler in Chicago as well, into the 50s. The same air mass we are dealing with, but across Florida, very warm and into the 90s. So the Panhandle forecast keeping us fairly wet through that midweek time period. Maybe 2/3 of an inch of rain with temperatures today into the 70s. As we travel off to the east, it doesn't look like the rain will be as heavy, except in Davis, maybe around an inch. High temperatures on Tuesday. In Romney at 83 degrees, Wardensville at 83 degrees. And as we travel to the south, you can see the rain totals are going to be increasing as we get into those high elevations. Webster Springs at 77. The rain starts to move in late this afternoon across the far west, but we will be inundated with that rain through the first half of our Wednesday. Again, some spots to the south, maybe picking up close to 1.5 inches of total rain, but mild today, and we cool off starting tomorrow. Widely scattered showers and storms Wednesday, a little bit drier day there Thursday, but unsettled again as we slide into the weekend.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at Salango Law.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Second hour of Metro News Talkline. Dave Wilson in Morgantown. TJ Meadows is in Charleston. We're in the Ewing Insurance Studios and appreciate you being part of the program. Thanks for listening in on one of our great radio affiliates in and around the state of West Virginia. Ethan Collins is our audio producer this morning. He'll also answer the phone if you call 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. He's a very nice young man, despite reports. You can give us a call, tell us what you think about just about anything as the show unfolds. You can also text us, 304-TALK-304. Thanks for watching. If you're tuned in on the Metro News television app, also Facebook Live and YouTube, Jake Link is our video producer this morning. Coming up a little bit later on, bottom of the hour, we'll talk to a Republican challenger for the U.S. Congress in District 1. Larry Jackson will join us bottom of the hour. Also, we'll check in, hopefully, fingers crossed, with Brad McElhenney. He is covering the court hearing in Kanawha County Circuit Court this morning, challenging the residency of State Senate candidate Mark Harmon. That is the district, and the number escapes me, so please, I apologize. But that is the district that current State Senator Jay Taylor has that seat and is running for re-election. So we will see as the hour unfolds. Say good morning, TJ Meadows, once again in the Charleston Bureau. Good morning, TJ Meadows.
Good morning. That district is the 14th.
Thank
and the
you.
reason I know that is because you know of my love of spreadsheets.
Go on, yes.
So I've been working on the mother of all spreadsheets,
Yes.
as I call it, or the legislative tracker, and it looks at PAC spending. And I'm tracing and tracking the big 7, I'll call it. But here's the takeaway for you, just the headline. As of yesterday, close of business yesterday, since campaigning started, $3.6 million with just 7 PACs has been spent on state legislative races. That is unprecedented.
By the way, don't underplay this spreadsheet, by the way, folks. TJ, we talked about this the other day. We'll get into the actual spending here, but I said, hey, how about we do a spreadsheet? Could you cook something up? TJ's like, I got this. I got this.
There was no hesitation.
And he comes back with the mother. You're right. The mother of all spreadsheet. We're tracking spending. We got a candidate. We know where the incumbents are. We know what they had for lunch, thanks to this spreadsheet. So it's a work of art. It really is, TJ. It's art.
Well, I just like it because I can look at these races and these numbers, and I'm going to probably get sick of sharing them, or people will get sick of me of sharing them. But these numbers are just they're out here. Let's get to the guest. My apologies.
Let's do that. Our guest is Greg Thomas. He's a Republican consultant, GOP strategist, and he is working with a number of these candidates running for the state legislature. My description, they would be in the Tacubo faction of the state Senate, for lack of a better description. Greg, good morning. Thanks for joining us, buddy. What do you make of all this spending, by the way?
Well, hold on a second. There we go. It's I don't refer it to the Tacubo faction as much as there's a West Virginia faction, and then there's an out-of-state billionaire faction. And I'm a West Virginian, right? Born here, raised here, live here, raising my family here, like most of the candidates that we went out and recruited to run for office, right? And I think that's, look, we spent all last year recruiting these really qualified candidates, right? Job creators, doctors, lawyers, people that are active in their community. I don't know if you have included on your spreadsheet the actual campaigns themselves. Our candidates raised over $1.5 million. Their candidates raised about $500,000. Almost all of which was from personal injury lawyers and Democrats, by the way. So it's a very odd coalition they have. It's out-of-state billionaires and local Democrat personal injury lawyers. And that's essentially the coalition that's funding the outside, out-of-state special interest coalition versus our West Virginia coalition. I refer to this election as sort of a gross out election, right? I mean, I think they're purposefully running the grossest, most dishonest, deceitful, shameful campaign they can to try to suppress voters. This started with closing the Republican primary, right? I mean, that was to suppress voters. This is a continuation of that, is just to say, hey, look, we know voters want to hear about jobs and the economy and roads and schools. Let's talk about the most ridiculous stuff we can that just grosses people out so they don't come out and vote, so they don't pay attention, so they don't see that the West Virginia interest candidates are significantly better than the out-of-state special interest candidates. And that's essentially what's happening. And look, so far, it's working so far. I mean, there's a lot of, there's very little turnout. I don't expect there to be much turnout as we get closer. I think it cuts both ways, though, right? Because I think if you look at some of the public polling that's been made available, a lot of their candidates are getting a third of the vote, which is that Morrissey third, right? Morrissey always gets a third.
Got 33% in the primary.
That 33% he got in the primary. That's what and it's the same out-of-state special interest groups that are spending the same money almost in the same exact way, right? I mean, the same kind of issues. And so we know it works among them. I think, though, that they're going to have trouble getting all of those people out. I mean, a lot of those folks were Democrats not very long ago. They switched to being Republicans on some of those social issues, which is why they kind of cater those. But I think without Trump being on the ballot, having them drag those people out to the polls. I mean, Chris Pritt isn't dragging out a Trump voter to the polls, right? I mean, no hardcore Trump voter in Grant County is like, I'm going to make sure I drive 15 miles to make sure I can vote for Jay Taylor. Like, that's not going to happen.
Let's unpack some of this because you've made a lot of points there. So back to this whole idea of voter suppression and a grotesque campaign. I infer from what you're saying that you believe they can only win their 1/3. And so these other 2/3, I would assume you've got a third that's on the Tacubo faction,
the West Virginia faction.
The West Virginia faction. Okay, fine. And then you've got a third that's still kind of out there, and that's battleground. Is that a fair analysis?
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think those are the people that those are a lot of the folks that, let's use Tacubo as the example. Those are a lot of the folks that there for a while were people that have voted for Tom in the past that were like, oh my gosh, I voted for Tom in the past, but I'm hearing all this really bad stuff about him. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't seem like the Tom that I know. And I think those people were probably kind of moved into an undecided sort of position for a little bit. And as you can see, though, by the things that Tom has put out over the last week or two, I mean, he's closing very, very strong, right? He's coming with a lot of different ads. He's, exposing them for the lies on one hand. He's, aggressively identifying Chris Pritt as a Democrat personal injury lawyer on the other. And he's closing out to get those people. I think the campaigns you see out there in West Virginia, the campaigns that are sort of following that path are probably going to end up doing well, right? Because it's like, okay, people knew me, they liked me, but then all of a sudden they heard all this bad stuff about me. Well, how do you close, right? Like, how do you close at the end? And I think not every one of our candidates, some of our guys are probably what you refer to as upside down, right? If you go out and say, okay, what's the favorability of somebody, and more people dislike them than like them, it's hard to drive that message at the end. So I do think, the millions of dollars of spending they had probably will affect a few campaigns by just driving those people enough down to where they can't push through at the end. Dr. Takubo does have enough resources and is a awesome candidate that's able to do that. I think Dr. Mike Annalini's doing it down in Berkeley. I mean, I think there's different guys around the state that have this push at the end where not only are they like they're reminding voters of how great they are, they're highlighting why the other person should not be elected, and they're sort of defending these ridiculous attacks, and oftentimes they're all lies, but sometimes they vacillate between being ridiculous and being juvenile. And the ads that are coming out of the pack attacking Annalini are just juvenile. And so, I think that's where, that's where I think you got to look at this as saying, okay, there's still a ton of undecided voters out there. The reality is most of those people aren't even going to come, right? They're just not going to come vote. And so, I listened to an ad from Shelley Moore Capito's campaign while I was in the waiting, in the weight room there. That was like, hey, go vote early, go do this stuff. I mean, if Senator Capito is effective in getting her people out, right? Because she doesn't need the votes, right? I mean, Tom, what's his name? Not Till, Willis.
Willis.
Willis is like, I call him 10% Tom, right? Because he's at like 10% of the vote. Like, he's not going to win. He's not even close. He's not driving out people, but can Shelley drive out some people, right? I mean, and I think this electorate's going to look a lot more like the 2014 electorate than the 2024 electorate, right? Because, Trump's not on the ballot, man. Trump's not on the ballot, and I think that's really, really going to hurt their side. And they've run a campaign that's been geared toward that sort of the populist portion of the Trump coalition that I just don't think they're going to be able to get those folks out to vote.
Greg Thomas is joining us. He is a Republican strategist, GOP consultant, working with state legislature candidates, trying to find a good, what do you call them, West Virginia candidates? We call them the Takubo faction, however you want to describe them.
Yeah, the West Virginia candidates versus the
Is the other side special. Pitt? Is the other side Pitt? Is that what you're going for?
It's worse than that.
So
Pitt's at least like close to West Virginia.
So, Greg, what's your opinion then? We've bounced this question around. We've got several different opinions. I'm curious as to the why. Why are billionaires from New Jersey, billionaires from Pennsylvania, Jeff Yass, for example, so interested in the state legislative races here?
Well, that one's an easy one, right? So West Virginia, and look, I'm a school choice guy. Like I've always been. I'm a school choice guy. We were, the people that we recruited and won campaigns, we ran on school choice. I'm for it. I think the reason that these guys and West Virginia passed a bill that says, more pro-school choice than like anywhere else in the country, right? And so this was like a model that these guys used in other states, okay? The reason they're fighting so hard is because now we have this Hope Scholarship, right? And there's $200-300 million in the fund. But there's obviously, with any government program, there's going to be inefficiencies. There's going to be people cutting corners. There's going to be some waste. We've got, you talk to anybody that really tells you the truth about the Hope Scholarship, they're going to say, hey, look, there's probably $20 million worth of homes, people that are abusing this system and, getting expenditures paid for that shouldn't. They're saying they're homeschooling kids. They're not. My kids go to private school here in Charleston, and almost all of the other kids in the class are on the Hope Scholarship. So I'm for it. what we're not for is the waste, right? Is, all of the kids that like aren't really getting home, whatever. So if this legislature comes in and says, hey, you know what? We're going to fund this Hope Scholarship to 90% of what we were. We're going to cut out some of the waste, fraud, and abuse. But the problem, and that would actually work well for West Virginia. The problem with these national guys is they've gone around the country saying, hey, look, here's what West Virginia did. It's awesome. You should do it, Texas. You should do it, Tennessee. You should do it, Florida. And then the people fighting school choice on the ground, if they see that, oh my gosh, in West Virginia they went too far and they're going to have to cut that back, that's what they don't want, right? They have to be able to leverage the progress in what they did in West Virginia and other states. And so that's why it's important. So you sit here and think, why do these guys that want school choice done? We've already done school choice. Well, that's what it's about, is saying, hey, we can't show that we went too far in West Virginia. We can't show that it had to just be a total free-for-all. And so so then it's not really what's best for us, right? It's what's best for that out-of-state special interest group. And that's what this is about. That's why that money's coming in. But do most West Virginians understand that? Do most West Virginians know that 99.9%
put all this money in?
Yeah, 99.9% don't understand that, which is, I doubt it. I don't know very many other people who do understand it. I understand because I work for, I've got a lot of different clients, and one of mine is a national legal reform organization, right? But so I know how that part of it works. The difference is when we came in and did tort reform in West Virginia 10 years ago, we came in and said, hey, what are the 3 or 4 outliers that we have in West Virginia that we need to get rid of because we just want to be like everybody else? These special interests that are coming in, they want West Virginia to be the experiment, right? They want us to be the only state that's done something. They want us to be like out in the forefront. And this is an easy place to come in and spend a couple $1 million and buy a legislature. And so it's the difference, right?
But are they really going to do that? Because they're not going to get the House. If they won every race that they're in the House, you wouldn't have enough to flip the House.
I think they but then they want to scare the other people too, right? It's a scare tactic of saying like, okay, well, we want to go beat Heckert and Vernon Chris and whatever because they dared to challenge us on that. And these are all you have to remind everybody that they're running attack ads against are the people that voted for all the things that they won already, right? How many abortions were there in West Virginia last year? Do you know how many? Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. You know how many trans? These are non-issues in West Virginia.
Why you got to cloud it with facts?
They're non-issues in West Virginia, and they're non-issues today because we already took care of them. The Tom Tacubos of the world already voted for all this stuff. These guys go out here and they cast these silly amendments that do ridiculous stuff that anybody with a brain would understand how it works. But that's the thing is most of the people they're trying to elect don't have a brain, right? I mean, they have we went out and recruited really, really good candidates. They found people that were willing to, be part of this just ridiculous effort because they need $23,000 a year or they want a title or they want whatever. I mean, that like the reason they're, you wrote something on why aren't these guys saying that they denounce these vicious attacks? They don't care. They're not campaigning. They're not coming on this show and talking and going out to events and doing stuff. These people have been sitting in their house for the last 6 months. They're not coming out now to be like, hey, I know I haven't met any of you all. And you've seen $100,000 worth of direct mailers putting a picture of me beside President Trump. But I'd like to tell you here at the end, the first time you've ever met me in person, that I think these tactics are very shameful. They're not going to do that because they haven't left the house in the last 6 months. They ain't leaving in the next 6 days. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a clown show, man. I mean, they've made a mockery of the whole thing. And I think the places where it's gone too far and the places where the media and the candidates have said, hey, look, this is outrageous, whatever. Here's the truth. Here's what's going on. Here's what I'm going to do to move the state forward. Those candidates are going to win. The candidates that got beat up so bad that they either got distracted or, they got down or they got whatever and they didn't really push back over here the last week or 2 weeks, those guys are probably in trouble.
He's Greg Thomas. He's a GOP strategist, GOP consultant. He's working with several of the candidates running for the House delegates and the state Senate on the West Virginia faction, the Tacubo faction, however you want to describe that particular faction on the ballot in the May 12th primary. Greg, 1 week to go, buddy. Good luck.
Hey, appreciate the time again and appreciate what y'all do.
Greg Thomas, GOP strategist. Back in a moment. This is Talkline from the GOP Insurance Studios.
I'm Tom Willis, running against Shelley Moore Capito for U.S. Senate. Sarah and I love raising our kids here in West Virginia. You're the best people in the world, and it has been my honor to serve West Virginia for 26 years in the West Virginia National Guard, including flood duties all over our great state, and now in the state Senate. Shelley has abandoned our West Virginia traditional Christian family values, is ranked as one of the top insider traders in the U.S. Senate, and instead of negotiating for West Virginia families, got her son appointed as DA. I'm Tom Willis, and I approve this message because it's time for a change, West Virginia.
Paid for by Tom Willis Victory.
Tens of thousands of hardworking West Virginians earn their living in our state's growing natural gas industry, including thousands for Antero Resources, West Virginia's top natural gas producer. Antero's investments are boosting our local workforce and small businesses. We're proud to give back and invest locally to support West Virginia workers producing West Virginia energy. But the Mountain State's best days are ahead, and Antero Resources is just getting started. Visit AnteroResources.com to learn more.
Every day across West Virginia, healing happens here, where skilled hands and caring hearts save lives. West Virginia hospitals are more than places of care. They are lifelines for our communities. Employing nearly 54,000 people, hospitals power local economies and help communities not just survive, but thrive. During National Hospital Week, we recognize those who care for us all, because healing happens here, and its impact reaches everywhere. A message from the West Virginia Hospital Association.
Welcome back, class of 2011.
Most likely to be a millionaire, didn't quite make it.
Hey, reunion's not over yet.
Over here, millionaire, smile.
Make room, people.
Who is that?
Congratulations to our very own Millionaire for Life!
Never too late, man.
You could win up to $1 million every year with Millionaire for Life. Play in store or online today. West Virginia Lottery. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Everywhere you look, people are supporting Shelley Moore Capito for Senate. President Trump has endorsed her. So has West Virginians for Life. The National Shooting Sports Foundation named her Legislator of the Year. And she's backed by workers, small business owners, and Republicans across the Mountain State. Now it's your turn. Vote early through May 9th or on Election Day, May 12th.
I'm Shelley Moore Capito, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Capito for West Virginia.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off, or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
You've heard the buzz about CityNet fiber expanding across West Virginia. Now you can check your address, choose the plan that fits your needs, and even pick your preferred installation window. Visit citynet.net. Remember, CityNet connects, protects, and perfects. 304 Talk 304. Texter says, "Hey, this is Josh from Summersville. I listened to Tom Willis on your radio program today. I was thinking about voting for him because I don't like a couple of the things that Shelley has done. But after listening to him, there's no way I can vote for him. Thank you." This texter says, "Clown show indeed." Sends along a gif of a clown car. It's full. Create a small 2 to 3 waste, fraud, abuse investigation positions and change those abusing the system. Must be referring to Hope Scholarship there. 304 Talk 304. Tell you what, we'll get to some more text coming up in just a bit. Maybe we'll check in with Brad McElhenney. That court hearing still going on in Kanawha County, challenging Mark Harmon's residency. Coming up next, we'll talk to a Republican challenger for U.S. House of Representatives in District 1, Larry Jackson. This is Talkline on Metro News. Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia. Right now, it's 11:30. Let's get a news update from the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks for checking in. I'm meteorologist Todd Nelson, and pretty warm out there today. Although we are going to have increasing clouds out ahead of a front that'll bring us some unsettled weather midweek and some cooler temperatures. So as we head through our Tuesday, again, the clouds will be thickening up. Can't rule out some spotty showers across the panhandle as we head into the late afternoon or early evening hours. But the rain really moving into Wednesday. Wednesday will be kind of a washout. Scattered showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder, especially through the first half of the day. And total precipitation through the end of the week, looking at maybe a half inch to 3/4 inch amounts, and the extended outlook into mid-May keeps us slightly above average in terms of precipitation and temperatures remaining cool. So time now for a Fly CRW forecast. It starts at home. Temperatures running cooler in Chicago as well, into the 50s. The same air mass we are dealing with, but across Florida, very warm and into the 90s. So the panhandle forecast keeping us fairly wet through that midweek time period. Maybe 2/3 of an inch of rain with temperatures today into the 70s. As we travel off to the east, it doesn't look like the rain will be as heavy, except in Davis, maybe around an inch. High temperatures on Tuesday. In Romney at 83 degrees, Wardensville at 83 degrees. And as we travel to the south, you can see the rain totals are going to be increasing as we get into those high elevations. Webster Springs at 77. The rain starts to move in late this afternoon across the far west, but we will be inundated with that rain through the first half of our Wednesday. Again, some spots to the south, maybe picking up close to 1.5 inches of total rain, but mild today, and we cool off starting tomorrow. Widely scattered showers and storms Wednesday. A little bit drier day there Thursday, but unsettled again as we slide into the weekend.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at Salango Law.
When you hired me, you were 29. You seemed like you were 50 when you were 29. You were running that thing like a 50-year-old man. All right, we got to go get some tape. Come on, get out of there.
I think I've sort of always been 50, and I think I'm 50 now.
No, me too.
That's
me
a great point.
Join Tony Caridi, Brad Howe, and Hoppy Kercheval for 3 Guys Before the Game. Metro News Television. Available on mobile, Roku, Fire TV, smart TVs, and online at wvmetronewstv.com.
More of your text coming up. 304 Talk 304. That is the text line. Phone calls are always welcome. Give our producer Ethan Collins something to do. The poor boy, he's bored. 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. That is the phone number, 800-765-TALK. You can text the show, 304-TALK 304. Larry Jackson is a Republican challenging incumbent Carol Miller for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 1st Congressional District. He is a Wyoming County native from Hanover, and he joins us on MetroNews Talkline this morning. Larry, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. What motivated you to challenge incumbent Carol Miller in the 1st Congressional District?
Well, that's pretty simple. We are not being represented in Washington. Carol Miller has been missing this entire election cycle. She's not been anywhere. She's not done anything. The last interview that I know that she did was June of last year, when she told a reporter in Mercer County that she didn't know anything about the water issues, which is a major issue in southern West Virginia. So we need to put the people of southern West Virginia first, and that's currently not being done.
I want to talk about some of your policy positions, Larry, and again, thanks for joining us. You talk about you want to revive U.S. manufacturing and rebuild domestic supply chains. One of the reasons people go overseas to make things is because it's cheaper. Americans want cheap prices. So the tariffs are a way to do that. Is that to say that you support tariffs and what the president is doing?
I do support the president. The tariffs, these other nations have been taking advantage of us far too long. We pay a lot of fees to them, and they pay nothing to us. It's unfair, and this is just one way to bring some of that money back.
Talking to Larry Jackson, Republican running for the U.S. House of Representatives in District 1 against incumbent Carol Miller. Let's talk specifically about the water issue. That is an issue that's been brought up. That is a very local issue for southern West Virginia. What could you do in Washington to help address some of the water problems in southern West Virginia?
Bring in federal funding and oversee that funding. It's not just enough to have that funding sent in, but we also need to have a congressman that's going to be here on the ground to oversee these projects, oversee how this money is spent, and make sure these projects are on budget and on time.
Energy.
I have traveled around the district. I have saw some horrible sights. And again, as a Wyoming County, lifelong resident of Wyoming County, I live these problems. I know them. The water is absolutely horrible.
I want to pivot to energy. Defend coal and natural gas jobs, especially in energy producing states. The question is how, Larry?
We must defend coal and gas. It's our way of life. It's very reliable energy, and I want to expand it, make it easier for these mining operations to get going. But we also have to do it responsibly.
Larry, reconcile these two things when it comes to energy, because I hear this a lot, that we want to support oil and gas, we want to support the coal industry, but yet Republicans often talk about wanting to limit government overreach, shrink government. Can you shrink government and limit overreach, but at the same time promote or give a specific energy sector an advantage to continue moving forward? Or should we just let the free market handle all of that?
I think let the free market handle it. We absolutely do need to rein in government. Government, they play so much into our everyday lives. The overreach of government, it's not what our founding fathers envisioned. We're taxed on every single thing we do, and it's just unsustainable to continue this way.
Inflation is another topic that you talk about here. Reduce reckless federal spending. You have no doubt seen we are $39 trillion in debt. We don't have a balanced budget. You got to cut one of the big three. This is the question I ask every candidate. Which one do you want to cut? Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, defense. If you don't cut one of the big three, you're never going to get rid of this debt. So what's your bent?
Well, I think there's so much fraud in all of it, in all three sectors. There is some that can be taken out of all of it. Now, our seniors, and when I say that, the illegals coming here that a lot of people don't seem to have a problem with. They are taking that money. They're here illegally, and they're taking that money from Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all the other programs. And there is just a lot of money being wasted in all three areas that I think we can stop.
What about the fact Social Security was never meant to be what it is today? I mean, we really haven't changed it since it was started, and it was meant to help people, and it was meant as a supplement, and it was meant to do that for a couple of years, not for 20, 30 years. I mean, you've got to have some kind of wholesale change, right?
Yes, again, there is a large amount of fraud here in West Virginia that's going on with it, all across the nation. It's not just here in West Virginia, it's all across the nation. It does need looked into further and some revisions made with it.
Talking to Larry Jackson, Republican running for Congress in the 1st District. Larry, let's talk about a little bit of what's happening internationally. Obviously, there is the conflict with Iran. There's the Strait of Hormuz. There has been efforts to pass the War Powers Act to limit the president's authority to enact military operations. Would you support such a legislation?
This is something that has just came up with President Trump. No other groups were saying any of this when President Obama was doing similar actions. So no, I wouldn't. We are not in a full-blown war, which does take Congress's action to do. But the president does have abilities when he sees a national threat to take action. So no, I would not support at this point in time. At this point in time, I would not support it.
You spend time talking about healthcare on your website. One of your policy agendas, you say you want to protect and expand access to care, especially in rural communities. You want to strengthen local hospitals and providers, reform burdensome regulations. That all sounds great, but give us some specifics about how you would do this. What tangibles would you fight for in Washington to make those goals reality?
My opponent talks about getting funding for rural health care, and I personally don't see that. We've had 2 rural hospitals that have closed here in the last month or two. They're labor and delivery. This is just not sustainable. Here in Wyoming County, where I live, the nearest hospital is 45 minutes away. You've got to drive horrible roads to get to that hospital. So we need to expand access, and the hospitals that we already have in place, we need to make sure they have the funding that's needed, or people, a lot more, are going to die.
Talking to Larry Jackson, Republican running for Congress in District 1. Larry, why should voters support Larry Jackson coming up on May 12th? About 30 seconds here.
Well, the answer to that's simple. I've been the only one out here with you, fighting for you, fighting beside you, as my opponent has remained silent. You've not saw her. You've not heard from her. She's attended none of the meetings, none of the Republican Party forums. She's not been out speaking with the voters. She's not taking their phone calls. She is not listening. I am one of you, and I ask for your support.
Larry Jackson running for Congress, a Republican running for Congress in District 1. Larry, thank you so much for the time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Step aside, take a break. 800-765-TALK is the phone number, 800-765-8255. You can always text the show, 304-TALK-304. Did just get an update from Brad McElhenney. Looks like that hearing is going to continue till about 1 o'clock, so we'll have to catch up with him most likely tomorrow. May not feel like boat weather right now, but it won't be long. In fact, the unofficial start of summer is just a few weeks away now, so you want to be prepared by checking out the great deals on pontoon and fishing boats at LewWendellMarineSales.com. You can check out the entire Lew Wendell Marine Sales inventory at the website, LewWendellMarineSales.com. Lew Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun. Coming back, we'll hit the text line in a moment, 304-TALK-304. You can always give us a call, 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia.
You want somebody on the Court of Appeals who lives and breathes family law. Even if you don't win your case, you still should feel that you've been heard. I'm Jim Douglas. I'm a family court judge, and I'm asking you to put real family court experience on the Court of Appeals for your future.
Paid for by the Committee for Family Law Experience for ICA. Susan Shepard, Chair.
Your heart deserves the best. And at the WVU Heart and Vascular Institute, you'll find world-class care without leaving West Virginia. Our cardiology experts offer everything from routine screenings to treatment for complex heart conditions. Using the latest diagnostic tools and minimally invasive procedures, we focus on your long-term health so you can stay strong for the moments that matter. Call 855-WVU-CARE or visit wvumedicine.org/heart.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
Located in the heart of West Virginia, Bridgeport is the place to play. Endless indoor and outdoor recreation opportunities, including the Bridgeport Complex, coupled with a dynamic food scene, make Bridgeport the perfect getaway destination for couples and families. Explore unique shopping and pick from a wealth of lodging options to find something perfect for your needs. Explore the heart of West Virginia in Bridgeport. Learn more about all there is to do at greater-bridgeport.com.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Nasal obstruction, stuffiness, blockage. Is it allergy? Is it sinus? A lot of times it may be both. The WVU Medicine Sinus and Allergy Center is a clinic where we house all specialties that take care of allergies and sinuses together. You name it, we have it. It's one-stop shopping. Anything ENT that needs done for the citizens of West Virginia, we can provide that care.
Stay ahead of West Virginia weather with Metro News Television. Now bringing you a new way to stay informed across the Mountain State. Get updates daily at 9, noon, and 4. From headlines and precipitation to severe weather threats and highs and lows. See conditions from panhandle to panhandle and check travel with the Fly CRW forecast. Our meteorologists are on your screens and on Talkline, Midday, Hotline, and Sportsline. Keeping you up to date. Metro News Television weather. Accurate, local, and always on.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Phones are open, 800-765-TALK. You can always text us as well, 304-TALK-304. Let's go to Donnie in Tucker County. where I will head if I ever win the Powerball, and you'll never hear from me again. Donnie, good morning. What's on your mind?
Oh, not too bad, not too much. The last person you interviewed, he's got my vote because I could have swore I heard faintly a rooster crowing in the background.
I heard that as well. Now, unfortunately, Donnie, Larry's running in the 2nd District, which is southern West Virginia, so you're not in his district, but you can give him moral support.
Okay. I will wave a flag and take pies and stuff like that.
All right, Donnie. Hey, appreciate the call. Thanks for listening in, buddy.
No problem, brother. Hey, I love your show.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I did. Did you hear the rooster in the background?
Heard it back there.
Yeah, he was back there.
Heard it back there. Appreciate that. Hey, and I got to tell you, some people may incorrectly, in my opinion, say, well, why would you vote for a guy just because he's got a rooster? I've heard of a lot worse reasons than that to vote for somebody. So all with you, Donnie.
To each his own. All right, let's get some text in here. 304 Talk 304. What the candidate running against Congresswoman Miller said about her not being around is untrue. I work at a company in Putnam County where we've been expanding our facility and workforce over the past 8 months, and she visited our site last month for over 2 hours, thanked us for what we're doing, and even took an interview with a local reporter. Her not being around since last June is incorrect. She even talked to us about what she's trying to do in Congress related to the water issues in the coal counties and wanting to improve rural health care. He can disagree with her on the issues, but saying she's not around trying to help is inaccurate. 304 Talk 304. I agree with the previous caller. This is a while back. I think it was previous texter. I was thinking of Tom Willis, but, I was thinking of voting for Tom Willis as well. But after that, he's a big no, says the texter. I'm a Democrat, so I wouldn't be voting for her anyway, but Carol Miller does appear to be absent from the public. She doesn't even like to do interviews with y'all, says the texter.
Let me chime in on that for a second.
Go ahead.
She doesn't do a lot of local media. I think that's fair. She doesn't do a lot of national media. She's always been that way, even when she was in the West Virginia legislature. If that matters to you, you can vote one way or another. Just my 2 cents. I don't think that's the only reason you throw her under the bus, but to each his own.
Texter says, let's talk about foreign aid. 180 countries. We send taxpayer dollars. Are we borrowing against pass-through money designated to be given away? If so, this needs to be evaluated. 304 Talk 304. Guys, Republicans always run from the obvious fear of the rich. Easy fixes, everyone pay into Social Security, no max contribution. That says the texter. That would help also, but probably... Oh, you responded there. Go, make this make sense, TJ, because you responded to the texter there.
Yeah, I told the texter, I said, or we could raise the Social Security age. And the reason I go back to that, the life expectancy when this program was started, it would cover someone for what, maybe 5 years at the most?
Sure.
And now we have people living into their 80s and 90s on Social Security. It's not sustainable in its current setup. So, okay, yeah, you want more money, tax more money, or we could raise the retirement age to the point where it truly is a supplement. And I think the onus, just my personal opinion, needs to go back on personal responsibility. Our generation, you're an Xer, right? You're an Xer. Are we both Xers? We're claiming you. We're claiming
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We're both Xers. Our generation's the one that's going to take it in the teeth.
Oh, yeah.
After the baby boomers. We're going to pay into this thing for I don't know how long. And likely, never draw a substantial benefit. And I would be okay with that because somebody has to take it in the teeth if you're going to transition on it. But here's how you make me whole. My 401k, any investments I have in a brokerage, whatever, whether they're Roth or not, no tax. And that's how I'll take care of myself. And then moving forward, that next generation is on their own. And you figure it out. Because, folks, you got to cut something. I don't think there's appetite for Medicaid, Medicare. If you cut defense, what's the point? So one of the big three has to have a significant change, or we're going to be talking about this 20 years from now, Dave, when we have a $60 trillion debt.
20 years ago, TJ, I was but a young, naive reporter, and I'll tell the story quickly because we got a long break here. In Winchester, Virginia Congressman Frank Wolf, who had been in Congress forever, was in our studios doing an interview, and we're talking about the exact same thing you're bringing up now. This is 20 years ago almost. And he said, do you believe you will reap the benefits of Social Security? I said, absolutely not. I'll never see a dime of it. I'll never see a dime of the money I'm paying. He said, doesn't that infuriate you? And I said, what am I supposed to do? the things go as a 23-year-old telling this to Frank Wolf, something he knew at the time. I said, there's no way. There's no way I'll ever see it. This program's unsustainable. That was 20 years ago. Here we are still talking about the same thing. And the reality's still the same, TJ.
Yep.
The reality's still the same.
And if you see it, you'll see it because we print more money, which means inflation will go out of control, and you'll have no value either way.
Got to take our final break. Tell you what's coming up for the rest of the day. This is Talkline on Metro News from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Building a stronger West Virginia isn't just a dream, it's a mission. The High Technology Foundation knows economic diversity is the key. For over 30 years, they've been dedicated to transforming the state's economic landscape. Conveniently located in the heart of West Virginia, innovation, growth, opportunity, all under one roof. There's no need to look far for change. It's happening right here at the High Technology Foundation in North Central West Virginia. Visit WVHTF.org to learn more.
Picture a community where every space tells a story. Those are the communities we're designing at ZLM Architects and Engineers. With a blend of creativity and technical expertise, we design spaces that inspire, innovate, and ignite change. From cutting-edge educational facilities to community-centric gathering spaces, we're committed to improving lives through design. Let us help you shape a brighter future for generations to come. Because at ZLM, it's more than architecture. It's about building your legacy.
Everywhere you look, people are supporting Shelley Moore Capito for Senate. President Trump has endorsed her. So has West Virginians for Life. The National Shooting Sports Foundation named her Legislator of the Year. And she's backed by workers, small business owners, and Republicans across the Mountain State. Now it's your turn. Vote early through May 9th or on Election Day, May 12th.
I'm Shelley Moore Capito, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Capito for West Virginia.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
Approach your retirement with confidence. With over 150 years of combined experience, the advisors of the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group provide advice and wealth management strategies to individuals, families, small businesses, professional offices, and institutions. With the Stike team, you'll have access to an advising team with extensive resources, a client-first mindset, and a passion for helping transform the lives of those we serve. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike today and join the team that's dedicated to your success.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Nasal obstruction, stuffiness, blockage. Is it allergy? Is it sinus? A lot of times it may be both. The Delview Medicine Sinus and Allergy Center is a clinic where we house all specialties that take care of allergies and sinuses together. You name it, we have it. It's one-stop shopping. Anything ENT that needs done for the citizens of West Virginia, we can provide that care.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
A couple of million could go a long way. The Lotto America jackpots start at $2 million and grow until somebody takes it home. Drawings happen every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And with 9 ways to win, even the smaller prizes can feel like a big win. Just a buck to play in-store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. The current jackpot is $24.71 million. Get your chance at manageable millions. Follow the news of the day at the website, WVMetroNews.com. For the entire crew and TJ, I'm Dave. Talk to you tomorrow at 10:06. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.